Welcome to the Global Law Program. You're with Andrew Bird, and we're going to explore all things law today, hopefully entertain you. The information broadcast on this program has been provided free for the benefit of the public. It does not act as advice to any individual or other entity. If you require advice relating to your situation, go visit your professional advisor. The broadcaster and any third-party advertising on this program expressly disclaim all liability for loss or damage arising from your use or reliance on the information broadcast at any time on this program. This week on the Global Law Program, we're going to review the Drugs Misuse Act 1986. But it's from memory, it's not exactly the biggest act, but it's quite critical. It complements the criminal code. There are a lot of provisions in there that, regulate drug use, possession, trafficking, all that kind of stuff. Generally you don't want to be caught by this act. You want to comply with those laws. Just going to go run through a couple summaries now. A person unlawfully in possession of a dangerous drug is guilty of a crime. There are a lot of schedules detailing drugs. There's been a recent move to, from what I gather through updates, is actually to make sure that all the synthetic drugs are covered. So if you think you can have a synthetic drug and get away with it, I think your chances are quite slim. This is useful to know in relation to the Act. The identity of a person who supplies information to the police with respect to drug offences is protected, so that's good. So if you want to inform about people you think are dealing in drugs, there is protection there provided. There is provision in the Act for people to have licenses to do stuff with drugs in relation to more of a research or chemical industries perspective. So there's a link there to Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry, but I wouldn't think that the chances of getting that would be quite slim. You'd have to have a business set up and be heavily involved in that kind of research. There are drugs publications by the Crime and Corruption Commission. You can check those out. There is a couple theses that you could read on drug use and drug policing in the summary if you want to check that out. Just before I close on that, I guess I found a nice image for that act where there's someone stealing drugs from a chemist. So you don't want to be holding any prohibited drugs. Stick to the more safer drugs like alcohol or coffee. And if you can, I guess it's always good to not be addicted to anything. Andrew Bird out. Meanwhile, in Ireland, there's been a Court of Appeal decision that a section of the 1977 Misuse of Drugs Act was unconstitutional, which then legalised a number of drugs. The Irish government has passed an emergency bill to recriminalise the drugs. Normally if the court rules things down, and maybe it's just kind of ruled down for a wording issue or extending over the power, normally the government looks for another way to implement that law so the status quo is maintained, which has happened here. Interesting things in Ireland. While we're on the Irish theme for this week, it's good to note that the Irish Parliament is going to look at some of their outdated orders and proclamations on their statute books. One of the best things that they're going to revoke is a 1542 proclamation declaring that the English crown shall be the King of Ireland. So the Queen at the moment is termed King for the purposes of I guess for the northern part of Ireland. You wonder whether it actually applied to the Republic, but don't believe everything you read in the media. Further to the last story about the acts being cleaned up in Ireland, there's actually a Reform Minister who has carriage of it, Brendan Howlin. The bill in question is the Statute Law Revision Bill 2015. That bill will look to revoke 5,782 pre-independence government regulations and orders. So that's a lot of cleanup. So that's really good to see. I encourage governments to do more and more. Queensland has done it a bit in the last couple of years. I think there's about 15 acts, just roughly, just guessing kind of thing, that's been repealed where they've been outdated. I think there's a couple more that are flagged to be removed in the future, but yeah, anything that's looking to clean up acts is to be recommended and even commended. This program, we've got a special treat for you. A couple of weeks ago, I managed to obtain an interview with the QUT Starters organisation, so we'll just run that for you now. If you want to get involved with that organisation, I think the details provided in the interview. It's good to support new youthful organisations that is kicking off. So yeah, show your support.
So Andrew Bird here at the QUT this morning next to Old Government House, and we're talking with...
my name's Tim.
And Tim, I understand you're with a new group at QUT.
Yes, we're QUT Starters, so we're all about entrepreneurship and innovation and building a culture among students to build up the courage to try out their ideas and pursue a startup while they're studying. Because it's such a great time for people to pursue a startup and to try and get their ideas moving while they're a student. Often they have time, and we also follow the lean approach, which is about testing your ideas quickly and trying to validate it rather than writing a big business plan and putting money into it and that sort of stuff. So it's the preferred approach for students who have a bit of time and not really the resources to test out their ideas and see if customers are actually wanting to have it.
So how would people want to, if they want to join to this group, what they have to do?
So we have a website. It's qutstarters.com. We also have a big presence on campus. So we have a stall at OWIC, obviously. We also are on social media sites. So if you go on Facebook and search /QUT Starters in one word, we should pop up. And we give all our information about our events and upcoming workshops out on the social media sites.
I understand there's a little fee to join.
There's a fee for $5, so that fee basically gives you early access to our workshops, but our workshops are free for anyone to come to. So if you pay that $5, you'll just be getting early invitation because they do book up quite quickly. But it's no problem if you don't want to pay. You can just come anyway.
The other question is, so what kind of workshops, what is the topics of the workshops that you'll be running?
So we have 5 workshops throughout the semester. The first one is around startups and an introduction to lean thinking and why that is a preferred approach for students. The second workshop is around MVP and landing pages, and we sort of show you how you can build a website very quickly that you can start to use to test your idea and see if it's worthwhile pursuing further. We also have workshops around pitchings and presentations, which can help you to sell your idea and influence other people to get on board with it as well. And there's some other workshops as well around doing business model canvases and being able to capture all aspects of your business on one page.
Must be a big canvas.
Well, it depends on your idea. If it's a really big idea, usually it gets quite filled out, and it also depends on how much thought you've already put into it beforehand. So, yeah.
Awesome. And I see today you've got describe some of your props today for the people who become members. It's kind of interesting to see, but it's radio, you can't actually see it, so you have to describe it to me.
Yeah, so we've got a spinning wheel. So when you do become a member, you can have a spin on our wheel, and you can have a chance to get all sorts of prizes. We have stuff from chocolates and lollies up to cash prizes to give away. We also have photo frames here as well. So if our members take photos in the picture frames, then they get to have a spin on the wheel and potentially win some cash.
Awesome. I see with the picture frame, if you go to the B105 pop-up shows, you might see they've actually got instant printing. So you might want to get these people on board and make what you're doing even better.
Yeah, it sounds good. I think the more people on board with entrepreneurship and innovation, and especially building more of a culture around Brisbane and Australia in general, is only a good thing.
You're listening to the Global Law Program. This is the program where you get an entertaining look at the law. This is not an advice program, it's strictly a conversationalist thinking educational program.
I've got an email this week, notification from the Crime and Corruption Commission. They've invited stakeholders and members of the public to contribute to the review of the G20 Act. This act was put into place before the G20 summit last year. It's actually put in place 2013, by the looks of the title. It's the legislation is still there in the current legislation for Queensland. If you want to contribute a submission. It's due by 5 p.m. Thursday the 9th of April 2015. If you want to find the page where all the details are found, just go G20, search for G20 review. In the APL SS Bulletin for this month, I believe I'll have an article in there that covers my thoughts on the G20 that happened in Brisbane and what could be improved possibly for the future.